Well, I want to go back into history here. Where what have you been doing lately, and just previous to that, and then because last time we talked, you're in the contracting world and the Navy before that, so
Yeah, going backwards, which I like working left logistically. Not many people can do it.
no, it's normally reminiscent on the past, like
Well, you end up back there and you never get out of back there.
Yeah. We call that an illusion and separation of identity, by the way, and it messes a lot of guys up. I think it does because you stay stuck and you can't move past your own self that you remember back then, and it's like
your own stuff.
Yeah.
A lot like you, working for different companies, and I realized that just making other people money, didn't like it. Did that anti-piracy thing when that was hot and heavy, great money, but didn't get to blast anybody, and kind of, I've been carrying a rifle or a gun in my hand for close to 40 years.
Did you ever get to drop a refrigerator on anybody? That was hilarious when you told me about that.
So no refrigerators, no barbecues with the homemade napalm and things like that.
If you don't have guns on a ship, you got other things. That's
adapt and overcome.
That's the point of that.
That's the whole piece. And that's special operations service wide.
Improvise, overcome.
Adapt and overcome. If you don't have something, figure it out. When we were talking about just the other night, low tech beating high tech.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of low tech out there. Ukraine, Gaza, whatever. So before that, working with a shooting place out in California, shooting on an Indian reservation, so kind of skirting some of the crazy California laws, but it got so bad in California as things were just progressing or whatever. And then met my girl. She hired me as a carbine instructor. She put on this another 40-year anniversary thing at Gunsight. I'm the carbine guy. Rob Latham, right down here in Mesa, is the pistol guy, and another blade guy. So we called that 200 yards of bad breath. So, which I thought was cool. That. And the lethality of 5.56, anything past 240, 50, 60 yards, questionable at best. I'm a 30 caliber guy.
Oh yeah, of course.
So, but anyway, little bits and pieces, but I just got tired of working for other companies and other people, whether they're team guys or not. I thought of myself as a pretty good instructor. And as you watched other people trying to teach and failing miserably, and teaching law enforcement guys and watching who their training sergeants are and watching those guys stumble around, it was almost painful. And whether it's misplaced loyalty or whatever, but you remember, especially on the East Coast there, we had a training budget that was pretty impressive. I went to almost every shooting school in America, the Clint Smith, Bill Rogers. We went down to Shaw's Place a million times. Jerry Barnhart.
Yeah, Burner. He would come up a lot.
Yeah, the Burner. So knowing what those guys kind of imparted in me or whatever, and I really started paying attention to how they teach, what they did with a gun, with an MP5, with a carbine, whatever, and phenomenal shooters, And again, if you could run a course of fire and get within 3/4 of a second of Jerry Barnhart, you're doing something. I mean, but Jerry Barnhart's not a frogman. He's not jumping out of the space shuttle at 30,000 feet. He's not locking out of a submarine with a rebreather and stuff. So as I moved into that gun world, and I used to hate that because in the teams they always said, well, the guys who can't do it are going to teach. And I thought, well, that's horrible. Why would you take a substandard operator and put him as a trainer? He should be the guy. Your trainer guys should be some of your best guys, the mentor kind of thing. And in bits and pieces it was, but there were a lot of places where it wasn't.
Still, I mean, majority of law enforcement is still that way.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible. So what I've tried to do in my little world, whether it's California or now it's here, is impart some of that. I tell some of the people on the range, Uncle Sugar spent a lot of money on me. Now, three SEAL teams, 3 surgeries. I think he got his money's worth. But to impart some of that, whether they're law enforcement guys or just the average civilian out here, whether they're doing their constitutional carry or whatever, and they're, Second Amendment guy. I don't have the Second Amendment tattooed on my forehead, but I think it's a big part of American society, and it's a big part of who we are. I mean, if you want to go into that rabbit hole, all I just tell people is, if you know your American history, the country was built on religion and guns. So without the guns, there's no freedom of religion. So stop talking.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
if I can add to
yeah.
that for just a second, because I've been having a lot of conversations about this with the Second Amendment, and,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of people that will probably, even watch this podcast because of our history together in that small couple days out of our entire careers, right? Which we'll get into that later. We'll say, oh, you guys, like, if something ever bad happens, you're just going to serve your old masters. And I always say, you're goddamn right, I will, because last time I checked, our masters is the first 3 words in the Constitution. So you're damn right. I'm going to serve my masters. And I think that's what you're saying is, like, it's the Second Amendment, the history, and a lot of people will live off of that. And I've been trying to do some research studies, and I did some studies on Switzerland recently. Actually, Greg and I were talking about it, and then started stemming into our training teams and everything. And we realized a difference between, like, Switzerland's culture and our culture, right? They're gun cultures in a sense, but what's the difference? We have a Second Amendment. They don't. Right. But they shoot every weekend. They do competitions. We're going to do some competition stuff there this summer. And I realized that the difference is they still have a sense of duty. So it's not just about God and guns. It's also the sense of duty that came with God and guns. And I think if we can start getting that back as Americans, people will start working together instead of creating this common enemy intimacy of, well, you're going to just serve your old masters, or you're a mercenary, like, what we talked about earlier at lunch. And then, or you're just, like I even get now, like, you're going to let your son join the military. Like, you're damn right. Because if you think it's a broken system, then maybe we should put good people into it. And my son's probably the best person that could do it. So anyways, I just want to throw out the sense of duty aspect. I think is why, it's definitely why you do what you do and why I do what I do. And so I think if we can impart that on Americans, it doesn't matter if you're a gun-toting American or a cop or a military guy, you still should have a sense of duty for the Constitution of the United States, which is we the people.